Good morning, everybody. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Hello.
I'm Mike DeLisio. Hello, hello, hello.
All right.
I had to one-up you. Actually, I two-upped you in that case.
Hello, hello. Hello.
Are there
went
some
with
people
three
who always
hellos.
say hello, hello?
There's some people that say ahoy, ahoy.
Ignacy Trevicek does that. Hello, hello, Ignacy Trevicek, Portal Games.
That's true. I know. Yeah,
That's what
right.
it always says. Yeah, it's like, it's one word now. All of that.
Right.
Hey, hello, hello, Ignacy Trevicek, Portal Games.
Folks, we have a contest here. This is from Bezier Games, publishers of great games like Sink or Swim, and also Sink or Swim is a co-op party game where you dive into a race against the clock to sink up as fast as possible. A game which I feel like we would all lose because we can't sink on anything. Let's try it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Sink.
I didn't know what I was supposed to say.
I don't know either. I mean, it would help if we established what we're trying to do first. But,
Yeah, right. Sandwiches is clearly what you guys were going for.
Finish each other. Oh, I thought you were saying finish each other's sandwiches.
Yes, that's a line from the song in Frozen.
I've not seen Frozen.
You need to sing.
You 100% have heard the song. There's no way you can.
I've heard "Let It Go" if that's what you're talking
That's
about.
the one.
No, it's not the one. It's
That's
from
the only song in Frozen.
How about that contest, Tom?
Yeah, so anyway, this is a contest for Werewords Deluxe Edition. This is one copy of the game, and you can win this copy of Werewords, which is like 20 questions with a trader. So it's basically like you have your own Z Garcia in your group.
That's right.
The way to enter this contest is to email us at contest@dicetower.com. In the subject line, put the word dramatic.
Dramatic!
That was a little bit of John Lovitz.
Yeah.
Good.
Acting! Yeah, I like that little skit.
Yeah.
I did. But you have to also answer this question. What year was Werewords released? And put your address in the email, just in case you win. So, let us know, enter the contest, and good luck. Welcome to Board Game Smorgasbord. We're glad to have you here. We have things coming your way. We have news, a top 3, and a discussion topic. But before that, something else. Does. Oh, we're on. It's
the news.
All right. So
Now we synced up there, Tom, and we didn't even try.
That was really nice, guys.
That was impressive.
No, I mean, that was beautiful.
would you like to sit in the middle to have some
It
stereo?
would have
in
been
your life?
stereo.
Yeah.
It was real mono, but it was
Thanks.
multisyllabic. That's a not.
Her story. This is from publisher Underdog Games. I'm sorry, they're not called publisher Underdog. They're just Underdog Games.
Yes.
This Emerson Matsucci, Nick Bentley, and Danielle Reynolds. It celebrates remarkable women in history. This game is already published. So you are doing research. It's a set collection game. After 8 chapters, whoever's highest scoring book filled with different women from history wins, and you can see some of them on there. And I don't know who all of them are. I know the middle lady is the artist.
Frida Kahlo. And
Right
that's
behind her is Judge Ruth
Bader Ginsburg.
Bader Ginsburg.
You got Malala to Frida Kahlo's left.
I don't know who the lady in the front is with the white hair.
Is that Jane Goodall, maybe?
It sure
Maybe.
looks like her.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess then I need to play this game so I would know these names.
Yeah, I think this is a cool theme, a very cool theme. This publisher has been known for the trekking games. I know that you and I both have liked those. And
Oh, I didn't realize it was the same publisher.
yeah. So this is the first game outside of that one.
Productions.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, this box, when I saw this, I thought it was a smaller game, but it's a Ticket to Ride size box. So.
Yeah, I believe it's the same box size as their other games. So.
All right. Well, if you're one of those people who likes to go to Japan to collect games no one else has, AEG is bringing them here to you. And let's go Japan.
Let's go to Japan.
Let's go to Japan. I'm sorry, you're right. That's
Let's
very
go,
different.
Japan!
Well, that's what they shout at the soccer games. But
okay.
This is from Josh Wood, who's probably best known for Cat Lady.
Yeah, probably, right?
So this is his dream vacation he's always wanted to do. So over 13 rounds, you're getting activity cards and putting them in a calendar.
I can tell you.
Okay, that was very confusing. I thought you meant they were literally bringing games over from Japan.
I'm sorry. Well,
You
they
mean
are
it's a
actually.
game thematically about going to Japan and bringing things from Japan.
Okay, so
Right.
maybe my intro was very confusing. Let's restart. There's a new game about wanting to go to Japan by Josh Wood.
It's called Let's Go Japan. With Tokyo Game Market going on right
hate you a
now,
little.
I actually would.
Yes.
I would very much love to. Like this is speaking to me because I think that I would love to do that one day. Go to Japan for the Tokyo. Well, I wouldn't want to go there for the game
You want
market.
to go there for that and some time around that.
I would not send anyone there for that currently, just because
Sure, it's only
It's so
2 day.
far and it's so short.
Japan is a very expensive country to visit.
But that would be a bucket list thing. I'd love to do that at some point.
Yeah, but there was a line of games from AEG that were about like games from Japan. I forget what it was called, but it was something like made in Japan. It was a little line.
That's right.
Yeah,
I
they
forgot
had a
about
few.
that.
And they also had that line called 5-Minute Fun.
Yeah.
None of which were 5 minutes, by the way, and it was a very ill-advised title.
Were they fun?
Yeah, they were like, it'd say, like, the line was literally called 5-Minute Fun, then you look at the back and it'd say 1 to 4 players, 20 minutes. I'm like, are you admitting your game is only fun for 5 minutes?
That's right. Yeah. So the other 15 minutes are complete
Filler.
drudgery. Yeah.
Pure
yeah.
filler.
Have either of you been to Japan before?
No.
No.
I've heard
oh
of
no,
it.
yes. Sorry, yes.
You have been to Japan. Okay.
I just went for one day. Well, I was
Okay.
changing my visa from Korea, so I don't want to make it sound like
Yeah, yeah.
I've been in Japan. Just one day.
All right.
So cool, Tom. You're so cool.
This next game is one I want. Jenga KoolAid Man.
Oh yeah.
What? Okay, explain this to me.
This is coming from the op.
Yeah.
The delicate block stacking and dismantling game is paired up with the reckless yet refreshing Pitcher of Destruction. You have to, basically, you're just rolling a die and pulling whatever color the die tells you to pull.
Okay.
I believe there was already a game that did that.
But there should be like the KoolAid Man figure like they have in the Funkoverse.
I got one right there, baby.
There we go. So they should have something like this in the game, so that at any given point, if you roll the KoolAid Man, you just take him and you smash him through the blocks of Jenga.
But you have to say the catchphrase.
Oh yeah!
I still always.
My KoolAid Man always ends up sounding like Randy Macho Man Savage too. There we go.
I always wondered like the
No, you wanna
point
see
of the
this one.
KoolAid Man, because like he smashes things. He's also made of glass. You know.
He is. I don't think you should look too deep into the
Yeah, you're right.
philosophical. You know,
There's a lot of things that happened in the '80s that have probably best not thought about too hard.
Let's not even think about the Hamburglar. That's another whole thing I can't even,
All right. Another solitaire game. Orchard, the 9-card solitaire game, which it feels like was deliberately made to get confused with Grove.
Well, Orchard came first, right? That was the first
Grove
in this
is the new
line.
one.
No, Grove is the second
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry. There's a new one called Forage.
Yeah, which apparently we don't have a picture of, but I guess this is going to be like a line.
Let me spoil it for you. It looks mostly white. It has a big tree where the O goes in what's the word?
Forage.
Forage. And there's some little fruits on it, and the font is that font.
I really don't like that, because I could easily see myself going to the store, seeing the cover, and going, "Oh, I already have this." Those covers are too similar.
So what are your thoughts then on like something like
Valeria?
No,
I got thoughts.
I know you've voiced those thoughts.
Top 3 Valeria games.
I could do it.
I don't know.
Like the Sprawlopolis, now because there's now like 2 or 3 in that line too.
Well, no, there's just 2. Sprawl wasn't a grip.
There's
a new one.
There's a new one that just was on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. I missed that.
I don't know what it was called.
I can't remember what it was.
The
another
combination was
Opolis.
Combopolis,
Combopolis, but yeah.
honestly, it's just the same game.
It kind of is.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Are these compatible?
I don't know. I've only played Orchard. I haven't played Grove. It's just like a little card game where you take dice and place them on top of the cards to represent fruits. If
I'll take it back. They're fine.
It's just a solo game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a little puzzle game.
I'm good. I'm good
Walk
with
it
it.
back.
I am
Yeah,
walking it back. I don't
walk
get
it
yelled
back.
at, so I like it. All right. Artemis is making a print and play roll and write title. Because if you've made a board game and you haven't made a roll and write of that game, shame on you.
I agree. What are you doing?
Come on, everyone's doing it. Jump in.
This
The
is
dice
another
are
thing
fine.
you were just talking about. You've got Artemis Project, and then they rethemed an old Foodie game, Bruno Foodie game, into an Artemis game.
The Artemis something, which used to be at Astra.
Right. And now you've got this, which
Artemis
is a
First
print-on-demand type of a thing.
Right.
But you can get it right now.
This used to
Gamers
be,
Guild.
Used to be Yahtzee.
GreatGamersGuild.com, $5.
The one thing that throws
I do
me,
like that.
Yeah, the one thing that throws me is the time on it, though. An hour-long roll and write. I mean, that's pretty. There are some of those now. You know, there's some heavier, longer roll and writes, but that's a little surprising.
And it's 1 to 5 as opposed to like 1
to
or more.
1,000,
1
yeah.
to 99.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
All right, and Board Game Company's continuing quest to make my stocking the library a pain in the neck. There's a new big box coming because why not? So this is for this popular game that you can see in your screen.
What's it called?
Tehuahuacan.
City of Gods. You know what? I played this game many times, actually. I like this game a lot. I've never played the expansions.
I'm not either, because in the box itself, in the base box, there's so much modularity to it. As a matter of fact, I almost have never gone beyond the pre-printed start with this stuff on the box.
Right.
I don't think I've needed to, right?
Now, that being said, if they had like a small expansion that was like more research tiles, I'm sure these are fine expansions.
Sure.
It's just that this excites me a little less just because I'm finding more and more I'm pretty happy with the base games of so many games.
Yeah. They had a mock-up of the deluxe box at Essen. I don't know if you saw it behind the glass there. It was, I don't know if it's going to be to scale of what it actually is, but it looks like another one of those big cube boxes.
So many. I also will say that I don't think that artwork's bad on this new box cover.
No.
But I like the original box. I think I like that better. This new one doesn't give me that whole ziggurat, which is the main focus of the game.
It's back there somewhere.
It's back there. I don't know. I maybe.
That looks like a cliff in Arizona.
No, there's scaffolding around it.
That's a cliff being built in Arizona.
That's not how cliffs get built.
Why? How did they get built?
By time and pressure.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that. I like
but-
that cover. I don't have any issue with that.
No, that's pyramids, not ziggurats. What's a ziggurat?
It's a stepped pyramid.
Steeped, you mean?
All right,
So.
0 to 100. We've already talked about this, I think, in the past, but it's coming to
have we?
English.
Okay.
Which I'm glad
Looks
for.
familiar. Have we played
This is, we talked about it. You get 6 question cards. Each has an answer from 0 to 100. And there's a 50 card in the middle. You have to pick a question with an answer closest to 50. So you're trying, it's kind of a riff on the timeline type things.
Okay. Are there actual answers to these things? Or?
Yeah, I think so. That's a trivia
got it.
question.
I do like that tagline a lot. I think that's very clever.
The general knowledge game for the generally unknowledgeable.
I think that's clever. I like
I like the cover on that with all the stuff thrown
Aren't
at the
most
target.
trivia games like geared towards this now?
Yeah,
though?
because they don't want to make people feel stupid. Like, I mean,
Well,
it's
good
solving.
luck, okay?
It's trying to solve the Trivial Pursuit problem, right?
It is, right. That's either you know it or you don't know it. There is no gray zone.
Right.
And then many trivia games after that let you try to get close.
Yeah, like the Freedom and Freeze ones. Those are really good, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, this next game is called Fur, but it's not spelled the way you might think. And I'm actually looking this up online to see if
Because
this
of a tree,
tree,
Tom.
man.
Not fur as in an animal pelt. Fur as in a tree.
You know what it is? I've never seen the word without the word tree behind it.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. Out of context, it would probably be a
I
little
looked it up and I was like,
yeah.
oh, duh. Right as you said it.
So from what I can tell, this is like very, very early. It hasn't gone to crowdfunding, which I assume it will, but it's news in that this designer is known for kind of that one-game feudum that is a very... People that like it are pretty passionate about it, but it's a very, very heavy Euro game. I played it a few times.
The crazy cover one, right?
Yeah, it had some production issues, I thought, but it was a beautiful aesthetic and art, but so complicated.
It's ranked pretty highly on Board Game Geek,
Yeah. 631,
but there is a lot of dissenters. I am one of them, especially since I think this game is, we're talking about Feudum.
Feudum, yeah.
It's fairly incomprehensible when you're first coming in.
Yeah, I agree.
The
It's
board
very
doesn't
tough.
help. There's a lot of production issues. There's some really cool ideas in it, especially with the guilds.
Yeah.
This looks like he took the template from that. The board is the exact same.
Yeah.
There's more pieces in this one.
This one looks even more, yeah.
Very cautious on this one, but hey, I also am not going to worry about it until 2024.
Right,
It's
right.
crowding funding next year, and then coming out the year after that.
Right.
Miller Zoo. Somebody found like a quote of mine from way back when I was talking about a zoo game. And I was like, why are there not more zoo
Right.
games? 2022 Time says, oh, there's enough zoo games. But I still don't mind this theme.
Sure.
I like zoo.
Yeah, and I think this is an actual zoo that has partnered.
It's in Quebec.
Excuse me.
And it's a zoo that's it's like a wildlife rehabilitation center for abandoned and rescued animals.
Right.
That's cool. So a cooperative game based off that. That's a neat idea.
Yeah, it's cool that that they're using an actual zoo, that they partnered with a real place.
Right.
And are utilizing that as a way to just both, have a very true-to-life theme and spread awareness of this place.
It seems like this is a really good theme to pair with a cooperative game, conservation type themes, endangered, the spill, animals are not animals. It just seems you're all working towards a common cause, you know what I mean? It makes sense.
All right, well, let's go back nostalgia to, what is it? Up, up, down, down, left, right, left, right.
Yeah.
Select start. Contra, the board game. Did you ever play Contra?
No.
Have you?
I did, yeah, for sure.
It's one of the hardest. It's one of the hardest video games I've ever played. You run through and you're just shooting at stuff, but you get so easy to get shot. So
I think I played the actual arcade machine of this.
Oh, did the code work on that? I don't think
so. No.
But the code gave you what, 99 lives or something?
Like that, and you needed all.
And I still couldn't beat the game with all those lives.
Yeah.
And Mega Man, of course, that's much more popular. That one has had a longer.
Yeah.
Anyway, both of these games are coming from Blacklist Games. And they're both rolling out to stores, which I'm a little surprised about because Blacklist has had a lot of problems.
And I think that's kind of the story here, is that these have been announced in, whatever, for years, I think, literally. And I think now they're coming to retail. There was quite a bit of controversy around the fulfillment, the crowdfunding. Are they or aren't they going to fulfill? But it looks like now, if they're going to retail, I have to assume they've, gone to backers. I don't know, though.
I am curious about these, but I am cautious because Blacklist games tend to be difficult to learn how to play.
I played a very early version of Contra, and that version was not terribly complex. I don't know if it, changed over time.
Oddly enough, the designers of these games are no longer designing board games.
Well, just of Contra. Mega Man is a different design team.
Oh, you're right. Mega Man's the designers of Contra. Neither one of them. One dropped out about a year or a half ago, and the other dropped out last week.
Yeah.
So I hope there's not a lot of rules questions.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they're pretty good about that stuff, though.
They probably would still answer it, but they're neither one's designing board games anymore.
Yep.
All right. Tour de France. Do not use drugs to to win this race.
You're going the steroids route. I got you.
No, look, if that's one thing I've learned in the last 10 years.
That's the only thing you think of when you think of the Tour de France.
Well, honestly,
yes.
No, for like 15 years, if you said Tour de France, I thought Lance Armstrong.
You thought Lance
I
Armstrong,
really did.
What do you think, Matt?
I think it's because we're American.
Steroids.
I think it's because we're American. I think
That's
around
true.
the
That's
world,
true. And I know it's the most famous bike race in the world, and it's cool that there's a game coming out about it.
The few times I've watched coverage of the Tour de France, it's been very interesting, but just incomprehensible to me. Like, I don't understand the terminology. French. Well, even if it's American commentators, I don't understand it. And they'll, closing down the streets, and I don't know. It's very cool, but I don't get it.
It's a thing. It's a big, big thing.
All right. Next we have, again, going back for nostalgia, Judge Dredd. Mike, you know a little bit about this game?
I know nothing about this game because this is not the one that Osprey put out, which was basically a riff on Wildlands. This is a 40-year-old Ian Livingstone game that they are redoing some things and re-releasing.
That's the crazy part to me.
Yeah.
I saw this, I came across it, and it's got a really cool retro look.
It really does, yeah.
That's because it's an old game, decades old, being not just re-released, but they are apparently tightening up a little bit of what's going on in it. This has me really curious. I love Judge Dredd as a comic book. I love the property, and I'd never heard of this game before. I don't think it's one that was necessarily that popular. Maybe over here.
I heard of it.
Yeah.
In the 80s, 90s, because it was in those, little. Sometimes it'd be in one of those little advertising things.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Really cool.
Ian Livingstone is one of the titans of gaming, mostly known on the other side of the pond.
Sure.
I mean, he's a special guest at UK Games Expo almost every year. Very nice person, very much. But he's also designed before we learned a lot about board games. That's not a knock on him, but this was, again, 40 years ago.
Different time, yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping that this is revamped. Other than that, I think it's one of those games, if they haven't done much with it, I think it's a game I'd play, go, nostalgia. I don't want to play it anymore.
I do like the look of the board, though, I have to say. It's very striking.
Who's the law?
I am the law.
All right, I think the rest of our news here
Almost all.
almost all the rest of our news is yellow. So we're going to quickly go through these. First, we have Helton Palace. This is a 2-player game where you're running a hotel for demonic guests, but demonic guests beat up the room. They leave the room a mess. So eventually your hotel is going to collapse. And you're trying to make your hotel collapse after the other player.
This looks like a classic yellow cover, doesn't it?
It really does.
You look at that cover, you're like, that's a yellow game.
It
looks good. I like that.
It looks and sounds almost like the feel of the old Cosmos 2-player games. So we'll see. Cheese Master. This is coming out at the beginning of next year. You roll some dice in this game, and based on what is rolled, you grab that much cheese. So you would hate this.
Yeah.
So if you roll 4 cheese, you grab cheese, but if there's 2 mice, and 4 cheese, the 2 mice eat the cheese, but if you roll a cat, the cat eats the mouse, which doesn't then eat the cheese. It's that style game. I messed with it a few times, and I'm like, oh, I like the math, but I could see some people going,
it's a quick game. It's like a quick grab kind of
right.
game. Yeah, no, I'm immediately out.
I'm really excited about the King of Tokyo stuff.
Yeah.
These are micro expansions. So me and Z were laughing about this yesterday with the King of Tokyo stuff, where you can add another monster to the game and it means nothing, and yet people go out of their way to buy new monsters.
Sure.
This stuff, though, I think is more meaningful. So this Baby Gigazar is another monster, but has the power-up cards.
Right.
And then even more wicked, adds the extra rules from King of Tokyo After Dark. Not After Dark.
Dark Edition.
Dark Edition. King of Tokyo After Dark. Very different game.
It's a much different game.
Coming to you at Spencer's.
Right.
No, but King of Tokyo Dark Edition had a rule that basically if you rolled a bunch of 1s and 2s, you got some extra stuff. And
there was a track down the side that you would level up on, and you would earn abilities. That track was only in that edition. It's now this box, so that you can add it to regular King of Tokyo.
It's interesting. The one on the left is clearly a European version, where the one on the right is a American version.
Why?
You notice the difference here? It's subtle. Huh?
The King of Tokyo eats a lot more. The big one, so he's fatter.
There's a clear clue on there. You can put
extension, expansion.
There you go. Extension, expansion.
Great. Anyhow,
I think that's interesting.
Mike is
that's news, folks.
He's an eagle-eyed animal.
That's right.
And it's not an eagle animal.
From what I understand, this whole micro expansion thing is going to become a thing with yellow. At least they're not called yellow.
This one's not in English.
This one's not in English. There's your first clue. Yeah. Also, it's Diamant. There's your second clue.
I don't know if this one's coming to America, and this is one that I might buy because it has a few little modules and small things at the Diamant. And when he explained it to me, I thought I wouldn't want to play with those all the time.
Sure.
But like just a little, this round, when you run out, you don't keep gems. Yeah. Unless you're the only person to run out or whatever. Just minor changes. I like that. And then there was also a third card that let you steal from someone else at some point. That I was less interested in. But the idea of the rule changes for this round, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, this one could stand to have a couple extra rules.
Yeah, and this is one I can see you may have to import because you still have to import Diamant. You can't get Diamant here without importing it. So.
But the micro expansion that everyone's been asking for is this next one.
Oh, yeah.
Z, I know that you have always wanted to add a train to Bunny Kingdom.
Right.
That's really been the main thing missing from Bunny Kingdom. When I think bunnies, I think,
Bunnies on a train?
Yeah, thank you.
That's the sequel to Snakes on a Plane.
I'll probably try this, but my word, what?
What is the thing? They don't have the little box cover?
I don't know if the cover has been...
Yeah, but see the little tracks there?
Yeah, I see them.
So that's what it is. You're going to put tracks on the board, and I guess whoever's next to the most tracks is the sheriff, and they go first in turn order, which matters a lot. And also, who cares?
Also, why?
Because money. All right.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. The others all sound good.
Last from Yellow, Foodie Forest. This is a retheming of Rainer Knizia's Too Many Cooks.
Too many cooks, too many cooks.
That is a cool cover. I like that.
I do like the
cover. I don't remember Too Many Cooks. I might have played that one, and I don't recall it.
I was thinking the same thing. It's one that I looked at and I'm like, maybe I played this, maybe I didn't. I don't remember, you know.
It is cool that they are starting a new card line.
Yeah.
Yellow is doing these boxes now. It's a brand new series they're starting. Yellow cards with this frame, this look. I'm not sure what size this will be, but you might have seen some of these. I'm assuming smaller, like more shallow and taller than the previous magnetic squares.
Right. I think they're doing Dwarf King in this line,
and they're putting Dwarf King, which was released in those magnetic boxes.
He told me that, and I said I was glad for that, but man, I like the little magnetic boxes.
Yeah.
No, you're wrong. You don't know how many pacemakers went kaput because of those? None.
All right, and our last piece of news. Vagrant Song is getting an expansion.
Just a scenario, little mini thing.
The Seance scenario. This is coming out December. This is just a scenario where you're fighting the Fox sisters.
Z and I got it at Gen Con. They had a limited number at Gen Con. And Z and I were both able to get a copy of it there.
We're real gamers.
I have not played the scenario yet.
Why was I not told of this?
Because we're real gamers.
Actually, I think there is. I thought there was one in the library too. Like I thought we got an extra one for the library.
Maybe there is. I don't know. Well, I don't remember putting it in. So I feel like I would have.
It's supposedly a pretty complex one. Like it's not one to do. You know, you should do it after you've played a bit and
Right.
So haven't tried it yet.
They've done a few of these sort of little extra bits and pieces that they've come out with, which is lovely. I'm glad that they're supporting the game this way.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Me
just,
too.
Not just sort of putting it out and forgetting about it, but keeping up with it.
Yes.
Well, there you go, folks. That is the news. All right, today's top 3 for Halloween purposes is
top 3 Halloween candies.
monsters.
I can tell you would never go near that would be candy corn. Hate it.
You know what? I'll say this. If candy corn was like as awful as everyone says, why is it sold everywhere?
Right.
I don't know. It is awful. Well, you can see circus peanuts are.
Circus peanuts are
terrible.
Amazing.
Those are
amazing.
You like circus peanuts, like for real?
I really like circus peanuts.
That is honestly shakes my trust in you.
Yeah.
I love candy corn. I can eat a few pieces of it, then I'm done with it. But I don't hate it like everyone else does.
No. I mean, it's not
I like
like
candy corn.
I don't love it. I really don't.
But
anyway, monsters.
Candy corn is Mike's number 3.
That's
no,
right.
we're not doing
Abomination.
food. We're not doing food 3 weeks in a row.
Okay, no, I'm kidding. I was joking because that was the joke. We didn't want to just do food every time.
Yeah.
All right, monsters. Who's starting, guys? Top 3 monsters.
Well, I want to explain. Like, I'm picking monsters I enjoy, in the sense of like if this is a monster in a movie or whatever, I'm like, cool. I like that kind of monster, as opposed to I didn't pick monsters that scare the snot out of me.
I picked very specific. I just happened to pick very specific monsters that had an impact on me, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want to pick like for example,
an impact on you.
creepy dolls.
Yeah, either freaked me out,
the snot
or
out
thought
of me.
were cool, or
So I wouldn't put them on the list. All right, well, what's your number 3?
All right, okay. Well, my number 3 is my one cryptid of these 3. It's my favorite one.
Chupacabra.
That would be awesome.
there was a whole
That one
haunted
scares
house
me.
with
That one actually
chupacabra.
scares me. The chupacabra thing is kind of just really creepy
Survive
and
the
disturbing. No, it's Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot. Oh, that's a good pick.
Bigfoot is
Sasquatch or Bigfoot?
Or the skunk ape.
not the skunk ape. He's not mysterious enough. You can
Okay.
smell him coming.
That's true.
No, Bigfoot or Sasquatch, whatever, same thing. There's something mysterious but not too terrifying about it, about the Bigfoot or
Like
the
if
Sasquatch.
you were in the woods and you saw Bigfoot standing over there.
No, I would defecate myself, certainly, but
Dude, you don't want to do that. They're attracted to that.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, they're coming. They're coming for you.
Bigfoot's a filthy animal.
What about Bigfoot's Arctic cousin, the Yeti? What are your thoughts on the Yeti?
The Yeti's cool too. I
Yeah.
like that too. In fact, the Yeti might be even more alien because it's in a frozen tundra is more of an alien setting, you know. But I don't know, the Bigfoot. I like the idea of this mysterious creature that is not that far from us,
right?
You know, for all intents and purposes. But we can't seem to ever see or have come across with, you know.
It's a hominid, you know. It's an upright walking, two-legged.
Do you like Harry?
And the Hendersons? What about the Hendersons, though? Are you good with the Hendersons?
The Hendersons are fine. Harry's really the star.
Harry's the star of that one. It's not called the Hendersons, also Harry, right?
No,
for a reason.
No.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen the new Bigfoot movie, the weird cartoon one?
Oh, with the big blue guy, or is that the one?
Monsters, Inc.?
No.
No. There's a movie that just came out in the last year or so.
Okay.
That's about a Bigfoot. It has a different animation style than normal.
Okay.
Maybe someone in the comments can tell me what that's called.
I think I know what you're talking about, but no, I haven't seen that. I don't care for Bigfoot in animation, and I also would not care for a Bigfoot movie because it probably would be a modern one. Would be scary. They would lean into the terror of it. And
my favorite in the Bigfoot grouping would be the monster from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's a Yeti, I know, but I like that one.
Yeah, the abominable snowman.
Abominable.
Abominable. Oh, me? Number 3? My number 3 is, you know how sometimes you'll read like a story that has a monster in it, and then they'll do a film adaptation, and the adaptation from the film doesn't match what you pictured, or this is one example where I read the story first and then I saw it on the screen and I was like, oh, that's even better than I pictured in my head. My number 3 is the chief of the Cenobites from the Hellraiser series, Pinhead. My number 3 is Pinhead.
Really?
Terrifying.
You read the Clive Barker stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then
you
saw
the
it
movie.
and I was like, man, that they really did it. They did it well. Yeah.
Did you watch Missing Link is the name of the movie, yes. Did you watch the new Hellraiser?
No, I've only seen, as a matter of fact, I have only seen the original Hellraiser film. There've been a bunch of them since, but I only watched the original.
I've seen like 2 minutes and I'm done with that. I hate that nonsense. Why do you like Pinhead?
It's just, I don't know, that is truly terrifying to me.
Oh, so so it's terrifying.
Well, it affected me. Yeah, like the story I thought was really good, and then I was like, how are they going to put this to film? And I thought they did a really good job. It was truly horrific, and I think, anyway, it's the monsters. I mean, you can go lighthearted, and that's fine. I went really horrific with my first one. My other 2 are, well, one of them is also pretty horrific.
Mine is one of the Universal Studio monsters.
Okay.
Which one do you think I picked?
Well, I'll tell you,
it's the only one on my list.
My number 4 was Creature from the Black Lagoon.
No, I don't like that stuff from the swamp.
I like
He's easy to avoid. Just live in the city. No, Frankenstein.
Really? Okay.
And when I say Frankenstein, I want to be really clear. I mean the monster.
My number 4 was Frankenstein the Doctor.
The Doctor.
Anyway, I like the concept of Frankenstein. I like the tragic backstory. I also like the comedy.
Yeah, sure. The Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Well, I like that. No, I'm talking about the.
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein, yes. But I just always. Frankenstein is like a misunderstood monster. I mean, sometimes he's more evil, depending on what version he's in. I like the kinder, gentler versions, the Addams Family. Well, I'm sorry, the Munsters. Where he's basically a Frankenstein. I don't know. I just like Frankenstein.
What about the love story, The Bride of Frankenstein?
That's really tragic.
Yeah.
Really tragic. I like it.
All right.
Okay. All right, my number 2 is another classic. I guess they do have one that is a Universal monster one of this, but I don't necessarily like that one. It's so dated. But werewolves.
Okay.
I like most of the usual vampires, but werewolves I think are not done nearly as much, it seems to me, as vampires.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Or have as many like spins on vampires. Vampires, they've done everything from classy, eloquent, elegant vampires all the way to like very nasty, awful.
Interview with a Vampire to Nosferatu.
Yeah, right. There's like the whole gamut there, the spectrum. But werewolves, there's not as much of a range there, and I understand that it's harder to do technically, but
werewolf wearing a top hat, like, hello.
They do have one of those in that Rise of Moloch.
Oh, nice.
Board game from Simon. They're one of the characters that the good guys play, is a werewolf. And he's wearing, sure enough, has a can and a top hat.
I do like any game. There's actually several board games where one of the heroes is a werewolf or wear something.
Yeah.
I always like that. I always want to be that character because you get to switch to
Doesn't
model.
the others have the one that has the wolf form too?
That's another one. Yeah, one of my favorite pieces of werewolf media actually is recent.
Twilight
is from the Netflix series of those animated shorts. It's like Love, Death, Robots or something. It's called. One of those bids, one of those little like 12-minute episodes. They're all not connected. They're individual. One of them is about werewolves.
Okay.
And it's modern setting werewolves.
Okay.
It's about like a military base. Like it's supposed to be a world in which the U.S. military is in the Middle East, and some of the characters, some of the people in the army there are werewolves. People know this. It's like a known thing. The guy walks around like using his tracking and stuff to like help them out. It's a cool little short. Very gory, very adult, but really neat. So yeah, werewolves.
What's the best werewolf movie? There's a clear answer for here. The best werewolf movie ever made.
I'm going to guess what yours is.
I'm going to guess what yours is too.
Mine? I like that one where the woman was fighting. She was like half. She was in the. I forget the name of the movie.
Underworld.
Huh?
Underworld?
Underworld, yeah.
Underworld,
I like those werewolves.
I'm guessing you're going to say An American Werewolf in London.
Yes, that was also my guess.
It's Teen Wolf 2.
Teen Wolf 2? With Jason Bateman?
No, American Werewolf in London is the correct answer. Yeah.
I don't know how I knew the actor in that movie, but
it was not Michael J. Fox. They switched
Jason
it to
Bateman.
Jason Bateman in the second one,
No, I was listening to a podcast by Jason Bateman yesterday where he was interviewing Michael Scott. Michael Scott said, I never watched a UK Office because I didn't want that to...
You mean the actor who played Michael Scott?
I'm sorry, Michael Scott. You're right. What's his name?
Carell.
Steve Carell. Steve Carell said he never watched The Office because the UK one because he didn't want it to affect him.
Yeah.
And Jason Bateman's like, also, I never watched Teen Wolf because I didn't want it to affect
my performance.
He's like, but no one seemed to be impressed by that.
That is great. That is fantastic.
Oh goodness! All right.
So my number 2 is the King of the Kaiju. My number 2 is Godzilla. Love, when it was Godzilla versus King Kong, I don't care. It didn't matter. Godzilla always won to me. Godzilla.
He did win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if he hadn't, I would have said Godzilla won.
Boo! I was rooting for King Kong the whole time.
King Kong, boring. Godzilla is great. It's a great, and it's been Godzilla's been depicted a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But even the old school Godzilla movies, they've got that kind of campiness but they're still great. I don't know. I've always thought that Godzilla is a great character. It's a monster that you can root for sometimes. You can be scared of other times. You know what I mean? It's a very versatile monster. Sometimes you're rooting for Godzilla. Sometimes it's terrifying. I just love Godzilla.
I thought the Godzilla, the first remake after the terrible 1998 one, was really good. It was not Godzilla Forward.
Right.
The one with Bryan Cranston.
Godzilla.
I didn't like that one.
I really like that one. I think that one is a very well-made movie that is not very much about Godzilla, unfortunately.
It was like in the background a lot.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good movie.
All right.
Have you seen that one, Mike? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, though. Is it worth watching?
That's a great movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 2 is the just a category, and that's evil robots. I tend to like evil robots, whether they're the Cylons from Battlestar
2000 kind of thing.
No, it's an evil computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but like the Cylons, or
Battle
like every half of the enemies for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The Daleks and the Cybermen. I don't know. There's just something about like a robot gone bad. With the exception, I don't like that really small movie about artificial intelligence where that guy's creating women who are robots and they fight back. Ex Machina, yeah, that movie.
Oh gosh,
I don't like
that's
that.
right. I forgot about that.
That's not
movie.
what that's about. Well, you must be thinking of something else.
Yeah.
What?
I think that might be a different.
No,
movie.
they're robots. Those women.
There was one.
There's one woman.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking. You must be thinking of something else, right?
The other woman was also a robot, the servant.
There was a servant in that movie.
I barely remember.
Okay.
That movie, Ex Machina, though. You're sure it's that one? You don't like that one?
No, I don't like that, but also I guess they're not evil.
They're not evil. They're like sort of just so close to human that they feel human.
Right.
That's one trope, I guess I should say, that I've never found that entertaining. The whole, like, this robotic thing is so close to human that it basically thinks it is human, and therefore we should treat it as a human, and therein lies like that.
You don't like the Robin Williams movie, Bicentennial Man?
Not at all. So would you consider, like, the Terminator as part of that?
Yes, because
like Blade Runner?
Of all my evil robots, my favorite is the one in Terminator 2.
Okay.
By far. I love that guy because he has no expression.
Right.
The way he ran was so terrifying.
Yeah.
It was... Man,
it was also perfect casting because, you know, people used to give Schwarzenegger grief because he sounded robotic. You know what I mean? So make him a robot and it's perfect.
Sure,
you know
I thought he was a good Terminator, but I like the one better from Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Robert Patrick, I think his name is. Man, he was was just
the
no
T-1000,
expression.
Man, T-1000.
That's my favorite evil robot.
What about Terminator 3, though? You know? Hold on. That's amazing.
All right.
Is it me? My number one?
Yeah.
My number one scares me because, again, it's sort of this unknown thing. It is enormous in scale, and it is in an environment I don't want to be in.
Okay.
Kraken.
Oh, release the Kraken!
The Kraken is a terrifying idea. It's maybe the most likely after Bigfoot. I mean, maybe even before Bigfoot, honestly.
What's your favorite Kraken, then?
It's probably from Wrath of the Titans, the remake, actually.
That's a humongous Kraken in that
Kraken is like, that's a really cool scene. Have you seen that movie? That is very cool.
That movie's not particularly good.
The movie's not that good, but the monsters in that movie are pretty good.
The scorpions?
The scorpions are pretty scary, yeah. And that Kraken at the end of the movie is really fantastically done. They outdid themselves.
I like the Kraken in Pirates of the Caribbean,
Pirates has a good Kraken.
That's true.
Just the idea of the Kraken is very captivating to me. This idea of how little we know about the ocean.
That's true.
The history that comes with the Kraken, this idea of sailors going out there and never coming back, and one guy who survived and said they get eaten by something with massive tentacles, wood carvings of a ship being taken down by a giant...
That's scarier than a giant shark?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of... I don't know. And it's, again, it toes that line between... Are they talking about a giant squid?
Right.
How giant? Like, how big do they get? We don't really know. You know what I mean? So that's just interesting. I like that, how scary and almost real feeling that is. And that history-tinged idea of it.
Yeah, because there are creatures in the deep that we've probably never seen before. So, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, that's a neat idea. Kraken's a good call.
All right, what's yours?
All right, so this is one where, you know, when I do these lists, usually the first thing that I think of is what becomes my number one. And that's what happened here when you said this
Freddy
list.
Krueger.
No, not Freddy Krueger. It's the Xenomorph from Alien. I think that is just straight up terrifying. It is a genius design of it's almost architectural, that monster, because it's, created by that artist, the H.R. Giger. I don't know. I can never get the pronunciation correct, but
whichever way, I guess.
It's been copied so many times.
It's iconic now, right? It's like that is, that one specific monster, which when you think of it, when you hear Alien, just the word alien, for a lot of people, that xenomorph is the thing that comes to your head. Or the little green men, right?
Green men. Right.
And so that's just such an iconic monster design, and it was done so well, it's so terrifying. To me, I'm not saying that, I have my opinions on which film is better, but Alien is a much scarier movie than Aliens. Aliens is more of an action movie, right? But the single xenomorph that you don't know where it is. That to me is a much more frightening concept. Being on a ship in an enclosed space with one terrifying creature is a much more scary scenario than hundreds of those that you've got machine guns. You know what I mean? They're both great in their own way.
It also features one of your top three with the robot gone bad in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's an android.
Oh, right.
That really goes bananas in that one.
Yep. Yeah, so that's my number one, the Xenomorph. That was the first thing I thought of.
That is a really good call.
The mouth that
mouth within a mouth thing.
It's just
that's terrifying.
And the big long head. It's terrifying. It really
My number
is.
1 is almost a crossover with Mike, except he's way wrong. My number 1 is King Kong.
Okay, all right.
So originally I was planning. I thought maybe I was gonna say kaiju because I like the idea of giant monsters. There's just something about a giant monster. It's overdone in anime because everything's giant in anime, but just like when I first heard about Godzilla being remade, I was excited. But King Kong, I liked the Peter Jackson movie. I know it's not, a lot of people don't like it, but I liked it. But I really liked the Samuel Jackson one, Skull Island.
Yeah,
that was King Kong.
That's a great movie. That is really fun.
I mean, when he eats your monster, the giant squid, I was like, oh, don't mess. Well, also that first scene where the helicopters come in and he's just taking them out. That was terrifying. You're like, oh my word.
All the monsters in that movie are actually really well done because he fights those crazy things at the end.
Yeah, I thought the Skull Crusher monster was a little. I thought it felt a bit generic. I wasn't nearly as excited about that. I was really excited about him fighting Godzilla, and that movie had a lot of problems.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, the first fight, him and Godzilla on the aircraft carrier, that was the best part of that movie.
Yeah,
that was a good fight there. After that, it wasn't as interesting.
Not very good.
I mean, he falls to the middle of the earth or what? That stupid nonsense.
Yeah, I did consider what was it called? The pale something, the Pan's Labyrinth monster with the eyes on the hands. I considered that one too.
That's pretty.
There's a lot of monsters though. I could have done Gremlins. I like the Gremlins from that
fun,
movie.
Yeah.
I like giant stuff. A giant spider, a giant centipede, a giant whatever. I don't know why that interests me.
Yeah.
Like the giant scorpions, I think.
Probably one of mine, and it's the one that I think has got the least screen time, I guess. Of anything I can think of is at the end, at the very, very end of The Mist.
Oh, yeah, the behemoth.
The behemoth monster is really kind of...
That's another
it gives me
big,
that Kraken feeling of like, this is terrifying, it's unknown, it's sort of so large, it's sort of incomprehensible in my head.
That's almost a kaiju.
Yeah, you get to see it for like barely, you don't get to see any details in the fog, it's just, that's scary to me. Just because I can work that over in my head.
Yeah,
I can turn that over for a while.
For sure.
All righty, well, those are our top 3 monsters. Let us know yours in the comments. Let's keep going.
One of my favorite things that apps do for us is take over scoring, let you deal with the scoring instead of you having to do it yourself. And one of the games that I find has the most egregious scoring is Lost Cities. So the Lost Cities app is, of course, a wonderful match made in iOS gaming heaven. The Lost Cities app is quite an old app, actually, to the point that it feels not really up to date anymore. But the last update was 11 months ago or so they're still kind of keeping up with it, working on it. The game, for how old it is, has some really smooth animations. There are plenty of newer iOS implementations that do not have this level of polish. This one manages to take this idea of you going on various explorations and turn it into this sort of machine-driven map creation system in which every time you give the machine a card, it sort of feeds it into this map or road and spits out your new score. So you always have a current read of what your score is. You can always tell at a very quick glance if you are still losing points for an expedition or if you've now turned it around and you're in the positive, you are now making victory points. I do wish the look of the app was updated to, for one thing, bring the dimensions to the correct size for modern screens and just to spruce up the look of it all. Matchmaking could be a little bit better, that sort of thing. But I have to tell you, it's a very robust app, and if you are a fan of Lost Cities and somehow have overlooked this one, I definitely recommend you go back, pick up the copy of Lost Cities on iOS, and have a good time with it. For one thing, you're not going to have to do the scoring yourself.
All right, today our back talk is in response to a question, and maybe if you send a question, it could show up in back talk. I'm not promising, but you never know. So this question here, and I'll leave a lot of this stuff anonymous, but this person said that they recently sold several games to a local used book / game / music / comic store, and they got store credit, which is what a lot of stores do. They thought they were happy with the price given for these games. They then saw the game, one of the games they sold them, doesn't matter what the game was, but they had the store had shrink wrapped the game and was selling it for $50. And they said it's a rare game. That's why. Like there was a little sign that said it was rare. So the person who sent the email said that they're not cheated, but they were alarmed that they were cheating customers because they were it was shrink wrapped, and it makes it look like it's brand new. It was virtually unplayed, but still it was not brand new. And B, it's rare because no one actually wants the game, and if you look online, you can see people selling the game for only $20 rather than $50.
Right.
So again, the person who wrote the email said they're not upset, they don't feel cheated, they just worried that this store is cheating other people. So I thought we could take a look at both those things. So shrink wrapping. To shrink wrap a game you got and reselling it.
That's a big no.
That's a huge no. I think
this doesn't even seem like a unless you say, I would be okay with you shrink wrap a game if you put used.
Yeah, right. I mean, you have to make it very clear.
I don't care what you do as long as it's labeled used.
I worked in a music store for many years. I don't mean like musical instruments. I mean like back when people used to buy music before it was all stolen off the internet, right? And there were some
for iTunes.
Yeah, I worked in like kind of like chain stores and in a mall and things like that. And there were reports we'd hear all the time about stores that were maybe more independent stores that would sell used items. They would re-shrink wrap it, and to me that's a clear breach of trust. That's an integrity issue, I think, because you're selling something under false pretenses. In my mind, I mean, I think that most people are going to have an assumption that if something is in shrink, it's new, it's unopened.
That's the idea. Yeah, that's the unspoken agreement. There is that shrink indicates new.
Right, and so I think that's a problem.
Also, Chris mentioned here in the comments that when the stuff's shrink wrapped, you can't check the pieces.
Correct.
Which you want to do in a used game.
That's very
because
true.
if the pieces aren't all there, what do you do? Now, I mean, if the store has hey, it's sold as is, maybe you can open the game and look at it. That's legit. But if you're someone who wants to look at them, shrink wrapping basically says you can't do it. But for me, if I see shrink wrap, I just assume it's new.
You just assume it's new. Right. Yeah.
So it's a form of lying. It might be legal, but I think it's unethical.
I agree.
The other question is more nuanced, I think. Like, is the store okay for selling it for $50 when you can get it $20 online?
I don't think it's nuanced at all.
I have no problem with that whatsoever.
None. I think
they could list it for $100. I don't care.
Right. I think the cliche, the buyer beware. I think it fits. I think that you, as a buyer, as a consumer, the onus is on you, unless they are specifically doing something to be deceptive, which overpricing something is not. It's just, hey, this is what we are putting this value on it, and you, as a consumer, it's on you to do a little bit of research. In today's world especially,
it's very easy.
It's so easy to find out what the valuation of something is. It takes seconds, literally.
Yeah.
If you overpay by something for $30, that's on you.
Right, and this is what I do with non-board games, because I know my board games. If I go see a game, I'm like, wow, a deal, or that's overpriced. I know that in my head, but that's like the only thing I know in my head. So if I'm going to go buy something else, like for example, when I buy a car, I know nothing about cars. So I'm really dependent on research and asking people about, is this a good price for this car? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's fine. They're allowed to do that, and I don't have a problem with them pricing something out of whack.
Well, what about the fact that they wrote rare?
Well, I mean, it probably is. I mean, also in board games, there are very few games that, technically speaking, aren't rare, right? I mean, most games are going to go one print run. It depends on how you look at it.
It's a meaningless word.
Yeah, I mean...
It's kind of like them selling me a product that got foodstuffs, and the box says, tasty.
Right.
But there is actual...
Thanks, it's useless.
There's actual psychological things. If you put a sign up with a special price, and it's the same price, and like when I used to work at a grocery store, we would occasionally, they'd be like, we're putting a sign up for this. Value deal.
Yeah.
And it's the same price.
Right.
But because that sign's there, people buy it.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I do think that, again, you have to be a critical consumer, and that might be more, people might be more susceptible to that if they're younger, or maybe they don't, but I think for the most part, people kind of get when they see these things, these sales that oftentimes they're not really sales. They're just marketing. It's just a way to get your attention to this item that they're trying to, for one reason or another, trying to sell that item.
And this is not a board game store anyway. This is it sounds almost not consignment, but like a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So I've been to stores like that before. And you and I have been to a couple ourselves. We're going to these old toy stores.
Right.
And those prices are all jacked up.
They're
I don't know if they're good.
You don't know, right.
You don't know. And it's interesting because you'll see things like, we've all seen this, I'm sure, games that, like on the Board Game Geek Marketplace, are being sold for $200 or something like that, and then they announce, hey, here's a new reprint. And you see people just trying to sell those things as quick as they can, before the word gets out there, so they might drop it a little bit. This happens, the valuation of things will fluctuate. And again, it's on you, I think, as a consumer. I don't want to say that, I'm not excusing blatantly manipulative or deceptive practices on the part of a seller. I mean, obviously, I think we know it when we see it for the most part. I'm just saying that you as a consumer have to do a little bit of research and take some accountability for what your role is in that transaction.
To be fair, I want to make it clear, from my point of view at least, they could price this thing at $150. They could do a big sign that says, out of print, super rate, I don't care. And I still wouldn't mind any of that. It does not excuse the shrink wrapping part. The shrink wrapping part is clear. Obliterating any other argument that I'm making to forgive their behavior. That's a big no-no. The rest of it does not compare. I have no beef with it personally, but you do not take a used product and then shrink wrap it, sell it again without making it very obvious that it is a used product. And I could understand you shrink wrapping a used product so that pieces don't get lost if you've cataloged that thing, especially in a high traffic area. Maybe. But it better be super clear that I am not buying a new product.
And it better be clear that if there is missing or damaged components, that there's some recourse that you have. Yeah.
All right, well, there you go, folks. That's what we think. And that's the end of Board Game Smorgasbord. We'll be back at 2 o'clock playing some of the party games we got at Essen. So it's just a party game day. And then we'll be back tomorrow playing a game live at 10 o'clock. So we got lots of stuff going on. We hope to see you then. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Mike DeLisio.
Be afraid of monsters.
Wow.